Hey y'all, so y'all already know I'm about to hit y'all with the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. So, as I'm researching, and a thought came to my mind. Why does Kamala Harris always say we must fight for freedom? We won't go back. We must fight for freedom, right? So, look at this. This video right here that I'm about to play for you guys speaks prophetically of what Black and brown people, African Americans, have been going through. And it's not that we are literally enslaved to the white man, but there is a mental slavery, a demonic slavery, a deceptive slavery, because all deception is demonic, that is happening in the minds of Black women and just women in general and just people in general. This has nothing to do with your skin color. But because I'm doing this for my brothers and sisters with the melanin, I want you all to know that I love you this much to tell you the truth. And if there are Italians who have a whole parade that is showing the struggle of what we are going through, not what we have been through with the transatlantic slave trade, but what we are literally going through now as we approach these next few years is evident that there has to be a change. God uses the foolish things to confound the wise. So watch this parade that happened in Italy. This is so powerful. Like, we want freedom, but what are you enslaved to? Who are you enslaved to? And a lot of Black people who is fighting for freedom and saying we won't go back, or even white people who are saying we won't go back, or even Asians and Hispanics, we won't go back. Whatever your nationality is, whatever your ethnicity is, what are you enslaved to? It's crazy that there are people all over the world who knows what's going on and can see what's going on with America except for Americans. It's sad. It's sad, but it's prophetic in itself. And we have to wake up to the truth. Like, this is not it. We have literally Italians praying for African American. This statue was built because they were praying for African Americans. And they built the Statue of Liberty to depicting the struggles in America. It's like you're breaking the chain, but yet you're still chained. Wow. So here's an article from the Marshall Project where it talks about Kamala Harris' approach to the death penalty to school truancy. In this article, it talks about what she did when it came to the death penalty, incarcerated transgender people, what she done for them. It also talks about the diversions um, program. But what stood out to me was, let's talk about the truancy. Because there was a story, and I'm going to play that for you. But in her truancy bill that she passed, she always talks about that she was a prosecutor, right? And how she prosecuted the people. When she was the Attorney General, Harris pushed for a anti-truancy bill. And under this law, it caused some parents to be arrested by local law enforcement. And one of those were Cherie Peoples.
I intend to fight for Black Lives Matters. I intend to fight.
If Black Lives matter to her, Why didn't I matter?
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom, and I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
My message to all Americans, especially Black Americans, do not trust Kamala Harris.
I'm so proud of you right now, because you walked all the way down here and I wasn't expecting you to walk.
My daughter, Shayla, suffers from sickle cell anemia, a chronic, painful genetic disease.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick.
It's a very sharp stabbing pain, and it hurts a whole lot. Like from my chest all the way down, it hurts, including my side.
So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
When Kamala Harris was the California Attorney General, she had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school.
I spent a majority of my time
She go with that hyena laugh.
here at the hospital.
Kamala's horrible policies hurt mothers like me and the Black community. My name is Sheree Peoples, and this is my story. I am a single mother. I've worked as a certified nursing assistant and a caregiver. My daughter Shayla was born in 2002. When she was born, she was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia. It affects all major organs in the body and also causes extreme pain. Her whole life, she has been on medications like morphine and Dilaudid to help her control the pain. In addition, she had to undergo blood transfusions every 3 weeks. My lifestyle became taking care of her almost full time. It is pretty typical for kids with Shayla disability to miss a lot of school.
I just got out of school. I've done 3 full days this week. Oh, I'm so tired.
And for years, the teachers were aware of her condition and her absences were all excused. California schools get their state and federal funding based off of average daily attendance. Schools are paid about $30 per student per
Wow, I didn't know that. Dang.
day.
In San Francisco, we threatened the parents of truants with prosecution.
Our first
Threatened. Like, she's proud of this, and she always leads with, as a prosecutor, I prosecuted sex predators and criminals. Like, these parents are criminals? These parents are criminals because their babies are suffering with sickle cells?
heard of Kamala Harris when she got elected California Attorney General.
We are putting parents on notice. We are going to make sure that you face the full force and consequences of the law.
She wrote
Imagine her being president. If she's passing this as the attorney general, imagine her literally being Chief Keef.
a report saying truancy was costing California schools $1.4 billion a year in funding.
Because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding. I want money.
Kamala then wrote a law making it criminal for parents if their kids miss school time. Kamala even wrote a book called Smart on Crime.
You can read an excerpt from the book that she just plugged shamelessly. It's called Smart on Crime.
Talking about arresting parents for truancy.
I sent a letter on my letterhead out to every parent in the public school system.
In 2012, like all California parents, I received a threatening letter from Kamala Harris saying we'll go to jail for a year if our kids even miss 10% of school days.
I'm gonna do a year in jail because your child missed 10% of school? Like, they ain't talking about this. And this is the reason why Kamala wants people to speak out against these misinformations. This is why Kamala doesn't want people to speak the truth and say it's misinformation. We have to do something about the misinformation.
It was like a crazy intimidation tactic.
I'm going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
I thought, wow, this woman doesn't have any empathy. Is it because she's not a mother? I also thought, How could she not understand it would disproportionately affect?
Any true mother wouldn't pass no law like this because you know that your child can get sick, things happen. No parent is going to throw another parent in jail for their child.
People of color, single black mothers. But honestly, I didn't imagine it could affect me. Her teachers had her medical records from the Children's Hospital. I even had a 504 plan, which was an agreement between the school district and the parents to provide care for students with disabilities. It was April 18th, 2013, in the morning. I'm in my pajamas. I had just fed my daughter, gave her medications, sent her off to school. Little did I know, there was a warrant out for my arrest. All of a sudden, the police is outside my house, and they started banging on the door. I opened up my door, and 2 officers entered my home. They told me I was under arrest for my child missing school. They said I was going to jail. I was shocked. I said, but my baby is sick. The school knows that. And they said, go talk to Kamala Harris. Place your hands behind your back.
My mom did nothing wrong. We did everything we were supposed to. I was always bringing doctor's notes, always calling the school to let them know that I was in the hospital.
Then they handcuff me. So they take me outside for what you call a perp walk. And oh my God, the TV news was there. The newspapers were there. You could swear I had killed somebody. It was degrading and humiliating. I was taken to the Criminal Justice Center. They took my mugshot. I was fingerprinted like a criminal, and I was terrified.
And it felt like I caused her so much pain because...
Poor baby, look at this. Like, no child should ever experience this at all. Like, your mother is going to jail because she's taking care of you. Like, how cold-hearted can a person be? Like, that's crazy. Like, how could you really stand behind someone who's pushing laws, who have pushed laws like this, and think that it's only going to get better? It's not. It's not.
In reality, it is because of me, even though I know it's not directly my fault.
It's not.
Sorry.
The next day, the Orange County Register showed the pictures of my arrest. They even had a close-up picture of my hands in handcuffs to show here's a black mother being arrested.
It was a truancy rate at over 2.5 times that of white students.
Everyone knew most truant kids were black. I think Kamala Harris wanted me as an example to threaten other single black mothers, like, this can happen to you if you don't get your kids in class. The police even put out a press release naming me and other black single mothers like Toya Daniels, who got arrested the same day. But my hell was just beginning. They gave me 2 charges: failure to supervise and encourage school attendance, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I couldn't believe it. They framed my daughter as a gang member and basically charged me with neglect. I spent the next 2 years in court fighting these charges. Kamala assigned her nastiest prosecutors to my case.
My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
Like 10 different prosecutors. They kept pressuring me to plead guilty and spend a year in jail, but I kept refusing because I did nothing wrong. All the time I had to spend going to court, I was struggling to care for my Shayla. I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted. I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
And I ended up being in the hospital a lot during her trial. And in that hospital stay was when I had my stroke.
I had a stroke about 4 or 5 days ago, And right now I'm doing pretty good. My hand is doing okay, I guess.
In 2015, after 2 years, they finally just gave up and dismissed my case. In 2018, the Supreme Court of California ruled that truancy cannot be punished by incarceration. It was unconstitutional. The courts finally stopped Kamala Harris' abuses. When I look back,
Wow. And we already know her campaign is all about freedom, freedom, and who sings that song? She wants to fight for freedom. She wants to fight for people to abort their babies when she is supposed to be a mother, right? Mamala, they call her. But how are you a mamala whenever you want to literally sign a bill, a national bill for the federal government to allow people to abort their babies at a federal level? The hypocrisy in this is crazy. And it makes me wonder, like, how many people truly care about life? You say you care about lives, but yet you don't even care about the life in someone's womb. So it's always about freedom, freedom, right? You know, I break my chains all by myself. I won't let my freedom rot in hell. Freedom, freedom, freedom. But what are you enslaved to? And then it just makes me wonder, like, a lot of these women don't know that they're literally in a mental bondage. They're literally enslaved to the demonic. And what she's saying just lets you know, if you listen and just read the lyrics, that this is such deeper than just women's reproductive rights. And then I came across this video.
Democrats, I got a little question for you, okay? And I really do want an answer. I want to talk about Taylor Swift and Robert De Niro and LeBron James and Jay-Z and Beyonce and Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Tom Hanks, Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres. I mean, the list can go on. George Soros, whatever you want to talk about. I want to talk about the over 90 business leaders in the United States that have overwhelming support for Kamala Harris. I want to talk about how Donald Trump did not receive a dime from a single Fortune 100 donor. I want to talk about how Donald Trump has been chewed up and spat out of Hollywood, out of Big Pharma, out of New York, out of Wall Street. I want to talk about all those things because what we see here, not by a study, not by a statistic or a graph, but we look outside our window and we see one candidate who has been rejected by the very system that you and I used to despise. The very system that has put us in boxes and told us to work until we die, that has told us to pay taxes until we can't breathe, that has told us to literally do everything for them while they don't even answer our phone calls when we have a request. Those same people are the ones that are backing Kamala Harris and trying to indict, prosecute, and convict, in all honesty, unalive Donald J. Trump. Now, rather than see that the Democrat and the Republican Party have never been different in the past, they both receive donor money from the same donors. They both receive hedged bets from Fortune 100 companies. They all shake hands behind closed curtains after they argue and yell at each other on the debate stage. That's been the case since you and I were born. The second Donald Trump showed up on the scene, that bipartisan funding from these elites stopped. And no more to the Republican Party and Donald Trump. The turning a blind eye to corruption in our politics stopped. Donald Trump is now a 34-count felon. And you guys, rather than look at the way the world's playing out and say, how is the system that I hate attacking this guy so severely if he didn't threaten their ecosystem? But rather than think through that logically, you've chosen to side with the Taylor Swifts, the LeBron James, the JP Morgan, the Wall Street, the Big Pharma, the Oprahs, the Ellens, the Hollywoods, the Universals. You chose to go over there and join them because they were so mad that Donald Trump was terrible. The same companies, the same CEOs that turned blind eyes to SA trafficking, to abuse of women in an industry, to P. Diddy, all of these people who've turned blind eyes for decades on crime, all of a sudden you think they care so much about Donald Trump's misallocation of funds, and they want to make sure he pays for that. You think they just had a come to Jesus moment and figured that out in the last 4 years. No. You are being insanely manipulated. I don't know what to say if you can't see it now. There's really not much I can do, but you got to wake up.
As I'm doing my
And you-
research, the Holy Spirit brought back to my memory this documentary that I seen last year called The Belly of the Beast. If you have not checked out this documentary, please watch it. It will be mind blowing. There's so much revelation. It's a Christian documentary, and they do a phenomenal job in articulating and explaining the prophecies that are being fulfilled in Revelation and how America has played a significant part in some of those prophecies being fulfilled. So take a look at this.
Witch and necromancer and possible channel for Hilarion.
John Podesta, of course, his brother went to some rather bizarre spiritual types of activities that were very occultic, certainly demonic, I would argue, where blood and semen and breast milk and so forth were involved by this so-called performance artists, and this was well publicized in the last couple of years. Even in their own homes, the art reportedly is of a very...
Like, who wants to have this in their own homes? Look at this, you guys. Look, if this does not scream child sacrifice, pedophile, child sex trafficking, I don't know what else. This is art that they have in their homes, y'all.
very unsavory flavor for the average person to behold. You have these types of activities that profile someone that is rather frightening and evil, I would argue, as a lot of globalists would seem to fit that description.
Also in the WikiLeaks email, there were images of John Podesta flashing hand symbols with the number 14, the number of pieces that Set chopped Osiris into, and a fish on his other hand, which is the animal that ate the phallic 14th piece of Osiris, his corpse, his male organ. These
Penis.
are symbols that occultists directly connect to necromancy.
Look at this right here. Look at this. You see that symbol? Let me show you something really quick. So they always want to talk about misinformation, but this right here was the most misinformation that Hillary Clinton ran. And she talks about how the U.S. election history to frame Donald J. Trump in the attempt to overthrow the U.S. state's government. You guys can look into that for yourself. Another example of hypocrisy from the Democrats.
Romantic rituals that occultists like Aleister Crowley, Jack Parsons, L. Ron Hubbard, Freemasons, and evidently Hillary staffers employ during sex magic ceremonies for one purpose: to raise or to summon Osiris.
This is why we see a lot of celebrities getting caught up in sex trafficking. P. Diddy, Jeffrey Epstein, and the list goes on and on. I'm pretty sure there's more, and more is probably going to be exposed. But there it is, y'all.
Apollo, the spirit that the Bible says will be incarnate within the Antichrist. So Satan targets sexuality because procreation is the human capability that comes closest to the divine. And as a result, it's not surprising that sexual perversion and sex magic are essential components of occult rituals. Jack Parsons, L. Ron Hubbard's Babylon working entailed all sorts of aberrant sexual activity. Now, in Ptolemaic literature, Babylon has three conceptual aspects. Number one is the gateway to the city of the pyramids. Number two is the Scarlet Woman. And number three, the Great Mother. She serves as a portal for sorcerers.
One of the paramount rituals conducted in the 20th century was by two individuals, Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard. It became known as the Babylon Working.
Babylon Working, it was a conjuring of what they thought was called the Whore of Babylon, referred to in Revelation. So they thought the entity was real. Jack Parsons, rocket scientist, performed more than once the Babylon Working, which was to bring a demonic high-level power presence into the actual sexual act so that the spirit could be then placed inside the physical side. And at the moment of conception, their view was that spiritual presence would augment. So the moment of conception, there's like an explosion. All of a sudden, the human spirit is there, and that's when life begins. Well, they want to inject that presence, conjure that presence. The goal was to bring about a hybrid being.
Oh, this is deep. And it always have something to do with sex. You see, like there's always some type of sexual symbolism that's going on.
The idea of conjuring the Whore of Babylon in this ritual was quite fitting to have taken place in America. The occult world has long desired to revive the spirit of Babylon. The resurrection of the ancient one-world system once failed, but esoterically believed to prevail at the end of this age. These occult prophecies built the framework and ideals for America to become the world's superpower and philosophic empire, the very land foreseen as the final Babylon, and revered as such, not only in the world of mysticism, but also prophetically laid out in the Bible. So on the very land of the revived Babylon, they performed the Babylon working ritual, and the conjuring began.
The Babylon working sex magic rituals that was carried out by L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons, the founder of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, happened through the mid-40s into 1946, and the whole purpose of it was to give birth to a magical being, a moon child, described in.
Pay attention to how he breaks this down. Like, y'all are going to be mind blown right now. You're going to see all the puzzles come together, and you're going to see the picture. If you are spiritually discerned, you will see the picture. If you're not spiritually mature and you're just oblivious to what's going on and you want to continue to ignore, or you're a lukewarm Christian, you're not going to be able to get this. But I'm literally putting pieces to the puzzle together so you can see the picture.
Crowley's works. And so they used the powerful energy of
And just to let y'all know, this came out in 2020.
ninth degree sex magic, rites that were intended to open a doorway through which the goddess Babylon herself, the archetype divine feminine, might be born, might come into the earth, might appear in human form. Now, Jack Parsons believed that he and L. Ron Hubbard actually accomplished this task of bringing the Whore of Babylon into materialization through a series of rituals that culminated in 1946. Jack Parsons' own biography actually preserves a celebratory statement in which he says that she was embodied in the womb of a female child. And in a fragment from his writings, Parson, who says he's exhausted but also exultant, he declares the work a success and believed that Babylon, in the manner of a dark, immaculate conception, was due to be born to a woman somewhere on earth within 9 months' time. He actually wrote, "Babylon is incarnate upon the earth today, awaiting the proper hour for her manifestation."
Now, this is the satanic part of it. So, Satanists, people who are part of the occult, believe this stuff, and Christians don't. And it's crazy because it's literally in our scriptures that there's going to be a Babylonian whore, you know, the mystery of the Babylonian whore the Bible talks about. He articulates this so well that if you don't see this by now, then you're just going to be a part of the deception and you most likely may take the mark of the beast. I'm literally sounding the alarm and saying, wake up and pay attention. Your vote matters in November more than anything. Either you're going to vote for heaven or you're going to vote for hell. Like, are you going to vote to make history or are you going to vote to bring heaven down to earth?
Now, if one could believe these writings, you would expect that a female child was to be born around 1947, and indeed such an influential feminist was delivered that year, who could offer the most promise for identifying the fruit of Parsons' infamous ritual, and that would be none other than Hillary Rodham Clinton. Intriguingly, Parsons later referred again to the Babylon Scarlet Woman, and this time by a particular name, in his Book of the Antichrist on October 31, 1948, a full 69 years ago, when the female child would have been around 1 year of age. Parsons wrote that the spirit of Babylon came to him, but this time identifying itself as Hilarion, who, he said, would grow on to become an international public figure, dedicating to bringing the work of the Antichrist to fruition. Why is that?
So, how is it that a Satanist was visited by a spirit, a demonic spirit, and saying that the manifestation of this spirit of Harion is upon us? How many women were born during that time that Hillary was born in the world? Not only in the world, in United States. Like, it's not a coincidence.
Important because the etymology of Hilarion is the arcane Hillary. Now, you have to ask yourself how many internationally influential feminists were born in 1947 who are named Hillary and that have the potential to become the leader or vice president or influence the election of the President of the United States, the most powerful nation on earth that was dedicated from its inception to the enthronement of Osiris Apollo, who the Bible itself recognizes as Antichrist, and also ask how possible it would be that an entity calling itself Hillary made clear to Jack Parsons 69 years ago that it was dedicated to helping the rise of the man of sin.
According to Bill Clinton in a number of books, Hillary Clinton has been involved with Wicca, gone to so-called Wicca meetings or, quote, churches in Los Angeles. And she would decorate the White House Christmas tree, according to Gary Aldridge, with occultic-like figurines. That's rather bizarre, I would think. She was involved in communicating with the dead, much like Eleanor Roosevelt did.
All these questions came to my mind recently when reading the WikiLeaks email revelations and remember.
And y'all, they're not lying. I literally looked this stuff up. Everything that they're saying in this clip that I cut out, they are telling you the truth. There's no denying it. A lot of people will consider this, well, this is conspiracy theory. This is misinformation. It's not conspiracy theory. It's not misinformation. It's the truth. Whether you receive it or not, that's up to you.
How Hillary had hinted that alien disclosure would come if she was elected president, and how the people around her, Abramovic, the Podestas, others close to Hillary, affiliates of hers, were manifest believers in the same UFOs and what they call contiguous aliens, the same that Parsons and Hubbard sought through the Church of Scientology, and so on, that's actually based on an alien called Xenu, as well as being practitioners of the same
alien called Xenu. What type of demon names is this? And y'all know there ain't no aliens. You know, this is talking about demons. But of course, worldly people consider demons aliens and angels aliens.
Crowley occultism that Parsons and Hubbard were devotees of. When you consider all this, it seems to be immediately beyond probability of coincidence that in the days leading up to the last presidential election, these modern Telemas actually believed that Hillary is, or that she could be, the incarnation of the archetype divine feminine, the whore of Babylon, the Hilarion that is set to take the throne of the most powerful nation on earth to assist the Antichrist in his bid to rule the entire world.
So if you made it this far in the video, God bless you. So we are coming to the end. As you've seen from the few clips, it's a lot of evidence to dismiss. You know, you can't simply dismiss the facts, and you can't label the information misinformation whenever all the information is accurate. So just in case anyone is still skeptical about what I presented to you, watch this clip of Hillary, and then I will finish the video with a clip from Kamala Harris and Oprah Winfrey and their interview that they had last night on September 19th.
Something is happening in America. You can feel it. Something we've worked for and dreamed of for a long time. And now we are writing a new chapter in America's story. And then there was 2016, when it was the honor of my life to accept our party's nomination for president. Nearly 66 million Americans voted for a future where there are no ceilings on our dreams. And afterwards, we refused to give up on America. Millions marched, many ran for office. We kept our eyes on the future. Well, my friends, the future is here. Women fighting for reproductive health care are saying, keep going. So, with faith in each other and joy in our hearts, let's send Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to the White House. The story of my life and the history of our country is that progress is possible, but not guaranteed. We have to fight for it and never, ever give up. There is always a choice. Do we push forward or pull back? Come together as we the people, or split into us versus them? That's the choice we face in this election. Kamala has the character, experience, and vision to lead us forward. I know her heart and her integrity. We both got our start as young lawyers, helping children who were abused and neglected. That kind of work changes a person. Those kids stay with you. Kamala carries with her the hopes of every child she protected, every family she helped, every community she served. So as president, she will always have our backs, and she will be a fighter for us. She will fight to lower costs for hardworking families, open the doors wide for good-paying jobs, and yes, she will restore abortion rights nationwide. As a prosecutor, Kamala locked up murderers and drug traffickers. She will never rest in defense of our freedom and safety. But we also know, as Vice President, Kamala sat in the Situation Room and stood for America's values. I know what it takes, and I can tell you, as Commander-in-Chief, Kamala won't disrespect our military and our veterans. She will defend democracy and our Constitution and will protect America from enemies, foreign and domestic. Think about it. The Constitution says the president's job is to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. Those are the words of our founders. Take care. Just look at the candidates. Kamala cares about kids and families, cares about America. And America needs every one of us, our energy, our talents, our dreams. We're not just electing a president, we're uplifting our nation. We're opening the promise of America wide enough for everyone. Together, we've put a lot of cracks in the highest, hardest glass ceiling. And tonight, so close to breaking through once and for all, I want to tell you what I see through all those cracks and why it matters for each and every one of us. What do I see? I see freedom. I see the freedom to make our own decisions about our health, our lives, our loves, our families, to worship as we choose or not, to speak our minds freely and honestly. I see freedom from fear and intimidation, from violence and injustice, from chaos and corruption. I see the freedom to look our children in the eye and say, in America, you can go as far as your hard work and talent will take you, and mean it. And you know what? On the other side of that glass ceiling is Kamala Harris raising her hand and taking the oath of office as our 47th President of the United States. Because, my friends, when a barrier falls for one of us, it falls. It falls and clears the way for all of us. So for the next 78 days, we need to work harder than we ever have. We need to beat back the dangers that Trump and his allies pose to the rule of law and our way of life.
I said on the debate stage, look, because he's having a very difficult time obviously processing the fact that 81 million people fired him. It's very important that we all speak to our friends and our neighbors about misinformation and help them now see how it occurs, where it is occurring. And that we also, and this is critically important, that we ask people to be alert about mis and disinformation, and we ask them, do not be afraid to vote.
To say that particularly those people who are still undecided or maybe indifferent or on the fence still.
We love our country. I love our country. I know we all do. That's why everybody's here right now. We love our country. We take pride in the privilege of being American. And this is a moment where we can and must come together as Americans, understanding we have so much more in common than what separates us. Let's come together with the character that we are so proud of about who we are, which is we are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. And we believe in fighting for that. That's how we came into being, because the people before us understood that one of the greatest expressions for the love of our country, one of the greatest expressions of patriotism, is to fight for the ideals of who we are, which includes freedom to make decisions about your own body, freedom to be safe from gun violence, freedom to have access to the ballot box, freedom to be who you are and just be, to love who you love openly and with pride, freedom to just be. And that's who we are. We believe in all that. And so this is a moment where we stand knowing what we are fighting for. We're not fighting against. It's what we're fighting for.
Thank you. Thank you.
Until next time, shalom. Deuces. Love you.